So you're telling me there's a chance? Welcome back to the TNC podcast, everyone. It's Jack Reeve, it's Chris Reeve, and we're talking about a win! A win! We did a win!
You're a naughty boy.
We did a win!
And even after the game, I think you posted on social media, dare to dream, question
only
mark.
because
you're a naughty boy.
Only because your colleague Rob Butler put a brilliant video of us losing our heads at Mr. USA scoring the winner.
Well, the point I need to say straight away, Jack, is I've seen people on social media go, look, it's like, if you win in the 92nd minute, enjoy yourself, enjoy the moment, let go. We might not achieve anything this season, right? So when you score in the 92nd minute, and it was a pretty turgid game of football, enjoy the moment. Over to you.
Well, my throat still hurts a little bit from the singing and the chanting.
About time.
I think it's a bit of that. A little bit of the remnants of man flu still sticking around, so keep your distance from me. Look, it was Norwich City win. Win? It was a Norwich City win.
Yes.
It was Norwich City 1, West Bromwich Albion 0.
Yes, all the W's there, yes.
3 points. Josh Sargent scoring. Yeah. Angus Gunn returning from home. We have got lots to talk about in today's podcast.
Yes.
We've got this game. We've got the upcoming games. We've got contract situations. We're going to be discussing some of Norwich City's longest servants and if they're going to be around next season.
Yeah.
How does next season look? And of course, all of your questions as well.
Yeah, so much to talk about. Kicking off with that clean sheet point, Jack, actually. That was our first clean sheet since, I don't know, the dawn of time, wasn't it?
Well, I think it's our second home clean sheet of the season. And you had to remind me of the first one, which was Hull, which I was in America for, and it felt like I was in America about 7 years ago.
Oh yeah, because you almost got stuck in that storm, didn't you?
Well, it was a hurricane.
Or
well, I basically did get stuck in it.
Yeah. And
I missed 2 of Norwich City's best performances of the season as well.
No wonder why it's so miserable.
So look, this was. We'll get into this game. I think the overriding feeling for me is one, relief and happiness. Scoring a goal in the 92nd minute to win the game. Is always going to be a great feeling. It was 3 points I probably didn't fully expect us to pick up. But it's a constant reminder of how fine the margins are in this game.
Yeah.
Because we could have quite easily and realistically been sat here today talking about a 2-0 defeat.
Another loss, yeah. Well, I think West Brom had 4 big chances in the game compared to our 1. That is interesting. If you're into your XG, West Brom beat us on XG. If you're into your possession, they beat us on possession. But
what about if you're into your XPGA?
But don't start me on that shite. Anyway, what I would say is, and look, in hindsight, you look at it and you think, and I'm sure we'll get into it, Jack, later on. I actually felt we had to do what we did.
Yeah.
And it's almost impressed me that Johannes isn't such a stubborn coach that it's like his way or the highway. I'm going to play full throttle Hofball no matter what, even if I don't have the players to do it, right? And I think he has probably succumbed to the fact now that he does not have the personnel to play full flight Hofball for 90 minutes every game, right? And we were in absolute dire, desperate need of a win. It was our first win in, 5 games or something? So important. It was a horrible watch, I have to say. We were in the stands in the Barclay, obviously, Jack, as always, and it got to the point, I don't know, anyone else at Carrow Road watching this, listening to this back, in the Barclay, we all started to sing, because we were so bored, we started to sing old Norwich songs. So we had the Farkers on a Horse, we had Antoine Sibieski, we had Anthony McNamee, we had Super Matty Jackson, Super Chrissy Martin,
Ashley Ward,
Bradley Johnson, Ashley Ward. We basically went through, Hux, we went through the whole Norwich City catalogue of songs because we were pretty bored in the Barclay. But it was one of those ones where we just had to hold on in there and hope that individual brilliance gets us through, and it did. I have to say, Jack, it gave me PTSD from Wagner Ball because that felt like David Wagner 101, right? Where we went into it defensively to grind something out and rely on individual brilliance, and that's what happened. Marcelino Nunes, who absolutely should have started, came on, changed the game, fed through an absolutely sumptuous through ball through to Sargent, who does what Josh Sargent does. So.
Well, look, you say that Marcelino Nunes should have started. It's probably a nice point to talk about the starting lineup, because the starting lineup itself was fairly similar to what we've seen recently, but it was a change in system. It was 5 at the back. Jakob Sorensen dropped into a kind of centre-back 3. Fisher and Stacey had pushed up. It was called Duffy and Sorensen. Look, it was a clean sheet on paper. We'll be looking at this going, it's only the second clean sheet in terms of home clean sheets of the season. Yes, we gave up chances. The defence were, I thought, pretty good. I didn't actually mind Sorensen in that kind of third centre-back position. But it's a nice point to discuss Angus Gunn, because I tweeted straight after the game, that's the Angus Gunn that I've missed.
Yeah,
it was an all-round performance that I thought he just hasn't had this season. Claiming of crosses, 2, maybe 3 big saves. The one that people will remember will be in the last dying embers of the game. It was first of all a brilliant save from Gunn, and then McConville who'd come on at headed clearance off the line. That was the Angus Gunn. Yeah. That if he performs like that, even 1 in 3 games, you hand him a new contract without even blinking.
Well, I think straight away, I would actually even just take some of the. I will praise Angus a lot in this podcast, actually, but I'll start this segment by actually praising the defence in front of him, all of them, by the way, because your goalkeeper is your last line of defence. Your last hope at getting something on it of saving a goal, right? I always say that. I think goalkeepers have got an incredibly tough job on their hands. The goalkeepers haven't been to the standard that we need them to be this season. There's no doubt about that. But I actually felt like the defence in front of Angus protected the goal so much more. And hey, the midfield in front of the defence too, right? The way that it was packed in with that shape. It did the job incredibly well until, of course, the absolute dying embers of the game when we'd gone 1-0 up, and oh my bloody god, we saw that cross come in, and you and I went like this. We went, oh my god, no, and it was Angus Buffon, wasn't it? It was a bloody outstanding save.
It was brilliant. Sorry to interject. The chap who sits in front of us, I don't think you would have seen. The floated cross comes in, and he turns around and he just stares backwards with head in hands. And then he obviously didn't see the moment in which Angus saves it, and then the convo. Yeah. He just assumed it was in, and then it was a brilliant moment.
But then isn't that a shame though, Jack, that we're at that point? And you said it before this segment. You said about going into the game and the feeling. I don't know about the people watching, listening to this. It was probably the most, not necessarily negative, but downbeat or least optimistic I've been going into a game all season.
Well, that's probably just because of the recent run, right?
Correct. Yeah. No, this is my point. And now there is this feeling, and we're going to talk about that in this podcast as well, there is this feeling that of inevitability. And the fact that the bloke there has turned around and gone 1-1. That speaks volumes, isn't it? So look, Angus Gunn deserves a lot of praise, but going back to your point about the lineup, before we praise Angus Gunn later on in the podcast, you've highlighted it, so let's bring it up. Jakob Sorensen in there in a back 3. I thought he did okay. And actually, when someone does an all right job, they need to be appropriately praised. And I felt that he did an all right job.
And I think that's essentially Sorensen's role in this squad, to come in and do a 6-7 out of 10 role in a multitude of positions. Like, is he the number one name on the team sheet? No. Is he the number one centre back on the team sheet? No. Is he the number one midfielder on the team sheet? Absolutely not.
So then, what's your take then, Jack? So to interrupt you, what's your take then on, if he's not the future, or he's not this, or he's not that? So why has Johannes not started Rory McConville?
Good question. I think I would have probably had him in there. I like McConville. Look, I think Sorensen.
I know you love him.
I would be really intrigued to hear, speak to Johannes, and I think he's spoken about Sorensen a couple of times this season. I think Mr. Webber used to call them cultural architects, and I suspect that Johannes feels a slight safety net with Sorensen. I think the reason that he probably starts is he feels slightly comfortable.
Oh, Danish friends.
Well, there is probably a bit of that,
Yeah, I know.
There probably is a bit of that, and whether that's right or wrong, that's probably the reason why he's getting as much game time as he is. He's one of Norwich's longest serving players.
I saw, and I think it is a rumour. I haven't fact checked this with the club yet, so I probably shouldn't be saying it. But I'll fan to the flame it probably. Apologies in advance. Someone posted saying they think the reason why Sorensen's getting so many minutes in matches and starts is that if he starts a certain amount of games, it then triggers the clause of the 1 year extra on his contract.
Right.
I see. Look, that might be complete bullshit. It might be a complete rumour, but that's what I'd read on social media, and I thought, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But to go back to the point, I, like many people, have criticised Jakob Sorensen. I felt that he did a pretty decent enough job. I felt the system benefited him massively. And I also, but I also would say strongly that Rory McConville, as we saw in the dying embers of the game, would have done the job equally as well, if not better.
Yeah, and I suspect it will be that the question will be: is it McConville instead of Sorensen in a defensive line? And if Sorensen's playing further forwards, maybe it should be Jacob Wright. I would probably go with both of those over Sorensen. But for this game in isolation, I thought Sorensen was okay. Yeah. I think that the interesting thing with this game, Chris, is it's felt like lots of games this season where Norwich have been at a similar performance level, if not better than what we saw against West Brom. But things have just gone slightly against us. And I'm looking back at this West Brom game. The save that Angus makes early on, where I think it takes a deflection, he fumbles it, that goes just wide.
Yes.
The save and the goal line clearance in the 93rd or 95th minute, that probably goes in on another week.
Yeah.
Sargent maybe doesn't get the slight bit of fortune where it goes under the keeper for the goal. There were moments where, I look back to the run, which I think has ultimately decided our season, sadly. Derby at home.
Oh, can you not?
No, because I just want to reinforce this point where actually performance levels have been very similar, but results can be very different.
Come on, then.
Stacey kicks someone in the head. Blackburn away from home. Sorensen has a brain fart in the 95th minute, and they score. If we'd have picked up a couple of wins there, and maybe
there's just 6 points.
Maybe scrapped against Oxford, you'd be in the playoffs. And I think
comfortably, by the way.
So I think that's the takeaway for me here. And the other takeaway: West Brom are still 6th after this game, and granted, I think there's 3 teams now on the same amount of points. The difference between Norwich and West Brom, I'd say there's nothing. There is no difference in terms of quality, but the difference is West Brom can manage games a bit better, I think. And that sounds silly because we've just beaten them, but they didn't give up many chances. On paper, they probably win this game 7 times out of 10.
Well, they created enough. They created enough
exactly.
chances.
Exactly. And they just look tough to break down. Yeah. The trouble with Norwich this season has been Bristol City before the international break, the perfect example of just actually, we were really good for 70 minutes in that game. But just 20 minutes of utter chaos has cost us.
Yeah.
And how many times has that been the case this season? We need to get more streetwise. This game reminded me slightly of the home performance of Portsmouth. Can you remember that game? We did a watch-along for, I think it was 0-0.
Yeah.
Where we just locked up shop.
And
granted, this was a slightly more nuanced performance, but I think there is an ability in Johannes to switch things up. Yeah. And that gives me confidence. I'm not looking at this and going, oh shit, Hoff is now suddenly abandoned everything. This gives me optimism in the fact that if needed, he can translate a message with his players to play something different.
Yeah, totally with you. Agreed.
Where to next? Because...
Well, what's the next talking point on the agenda, Jack?
Well, it's a great point. I mean, that ends a run of 5 without victory. As we say, the first home win with a clean sheet since Hull in October. The interesting thing, it was the lowest possession numbers that we've had at any point this season.
Yeah.
Can you name me, and I do know the answer to this, what game was our second lowest possession?
Oh, God,
this season?
No idea. Come on.
The game in which we beat Swansea 5-1.
No.
Yeah, we had 46%.
Well, so then does it?
We had 42%.
Well, so then in which case does that then not show that having lots of possession is essentially meaningless? Well, because I actually felt, Jack, in that West Brom from the stands, that was our lowest of the season. When I was watching that, I was going, well, I was a bit bored. But I didn't feel like West Brom had loads of the ball.
No.
But so that's interesting, isn't it? That those possession stats were what they were.
I think we've discussed McConville. I think there's a few themes in the questions that we'll get onto shortly. You put out a graphic on the TNC socials. If you're not following, why? Loads of good stuff on there. In terms of Norwich City's longest servants, and I think this translates into a wider point and a discussion I was hearing a lot around Carrow Road on Saturday was how big the summer looks and how different this squad could look.
Huge.
Now
Has to look.
So our 5 longest servants.
Yeah.
Kenny McLean.
Yeah.
Onel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Jakob Sorensen. Josh Sargent. And Angus Gunn.
Yeah.
Realistically, there could be a world where none of those guys are around next season.
Yeah.
And that, I think, moves us into a wider point around this summer transfer window. And, you sprinkle in a Borja Science and a Marcelino Nunez. Like, this is a really, really big summer ahead. And ultimately, I think it's going to be the defining point of this Ben Napper, Johannes Hoftorp reign. It really does feel that big.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and to answer your point about the longest servants, so who've we got there? Angus, Onel, Kenny, Jakob, and Josh. I mean, as you say, they could all go. It's what's also really interesting, Jack, is there's no escaping it, right? That there is this player trading thing, right? And the Yanks will be in on that as well. They'll understand how that works. It's also about selling the player at the right time.
Yes.
Now, look, hey, I know for the football fan in me has just given me I've given myself the ick by talking about player trading and selling at the right time and maximising value and spreadsheets and all that bollocks. I'm not really that into it. But because of the fact, Jack, that we need a big turn. I turned around to the geezer behind me in the Barclay before the game, and I said, I think we need a League One-esque summer window. So if you remember, we went down to League One. Brian Gunn in charge. He's gotten ahead, but we don't care. Legend of legends. And I'm sure we signed something stupid like 10 players, if not more. I think we need to do that this summer. And this is where I've always stood by Hoff's side and thought, fuck, he needs some help here because he's trying to play a style of football with players that aren't capable of playing it. So going back to those longest serving players, some of them it will be the right time to sell. Some of them will definitely want to leave. In fact, I can definitively tell you that some of them will want to leave. And some of them, it might just be the right time to move on and start something fresh again.
I thought the nice thing, though, I mean, I'm always split in two minds with this summer. I'm thinking, oh my God, the task at hand is huge.
Well, it is, yeah.
And then I'm looking at the squad that started against West Brom and also the substitutes bench. I'm going, there's still a lot in this crop to get excited about. Oscar Schwartau, Rari McConville, Jacob Wright.
Yeah.
Marcondes will probably still be it. Mate Jurisic, we've seen nothing about. Manko Forsen.
Hang on.
Ante Siernak.
No, hang on.
Anis Ben Slimane.
Okay.
Jose Cordoba. Kellen Fisher. Lucian Mahavo.
Yeah,
you've got a starting 11 there.
All right, so hang on, right. So you're excited about that crop, right? Come on then. Let me go through the list again.
Oscar Schwartau.
Okay. Young and inexperienced.
But brilliant.
No, I'm with you, but let me positively challenge you too, for the sceptics and the critics out there.
Mate Jurisic.
Barely kicked the ball. I think, gut instinct, I think he's going to be a really exciting player next season. But again, it's pure, it's like just
false hope.
False hope, yeah.
Did you not watch that 6-minute video of when our physios went out?
Yeah, Louis Cunningham up there. Anyway, keep going. Come on.
Manko Forsen.
Injured.
Brilliant.
Barely ever see him.
Ryan McConville. Don't give me any stick on Rari.
No. I'm a big. Okay, I'll back Rari. Yeah, keep going.
Jacob Wright.
But hang on, just even on Rari, we've seen him play for what, 20 minutes?
An unbelievable.
Okay, sorry. Who's the next player?
Jacob Wright.
Again, is it an obligation to buy or is it an option to buy? Could well not see him next season.
Dobwin.
Injured. And by
Mahavo.
the way, he's not our player.
Mahavo.
Injured.
Marcondes.
And very young. Marcondes out of contract.
Ante Siernak.
Ante, I can be excited about.
Cordoba.
Okay, so
but becoming fastly a brilliant defender.
Hey.
Kellen Fisher,
mate,
one of the best Championship young right backs.
So I stand with you on that side of the fence.
Vicente Reyes.
But it would be disingenuous of me to sit here and go, yeah, it's all going to magically work next season. And even in that batch of players, right? Say we just see it sunny side up and assume positive intent and assume they're all going to be here next season and they're all going to play to an exceptional standard and they're all going to start for Norwich City. There's players that you've not mentioned there that were on our bench against West Brom that mean you're all right with those players doing well next season, right? Nunez, gone. Sargent, gone.
Do you think Nunez
Gunny,
will go?
Gone.
Do you honestly think Nunez...
For me, I can't see a world in which we keep those players.
Fuck.
I can't. There was an offer for Nunez. There was an offer for Nunez in the last window.
Yeah, so we just turn it down.
That's a fact.
Don't need the money. Turn it down.
Yeah, but
turn it down, Chris.
Okay, so here's the other thing. This is why this window's so big.
Have a bit of ambition.
I'm with you on that.
Just turn it down.
But at the minute, what are the club doing to show fans that we are going to have ambition?
If you're sat right here now and someone walks along the street and goes, "Oh, that's a nice house. Let me bid for that." What would you do? Just accept it? No, you'd go, "No, I like this house. It's my house." No, go away. Reject bid. That's what we should do with Marcelino.
No, I know.
Fancy Premier League team comes along. No, bye. We're Norwich City.
Okay, but what fans are not realising here is player power is bigger than it ever has been, and really, you can't really keep an unhappy player. Like, you can and hope that they change, but it's only going to get to a point.
Who's saying he's unhappy?
Okay.
Who's saying he's unhappy? Keep on, Al. Give on a new contract. That will keep Marcelino here.
It will.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
I don't want to be... I just think... I think some supporters, including myself at times, to hold the mirror up to my own face, are in la-la land over keeping some of our best players. Why would they stay? Why would they stay here? Why? They're not. We're not in the playoffs.
No, but we could be next season.
They haven't. Look, here's what I hope. I hope, right, that the Yanks are going to be able to work with Ben and say, look, hey, make it really clear to our best assets, we're going to reinforce this squad, okay? We're going to bring in 5 or 6 really high-quality players, ripe, ready to eat, not green bananas. They're going to be ready to perform at the highest level in the Championship next season, yeah? They're going to improve the contracts of Sargent, of Nunez. Well, you've got to be realistic.
Let's just keep playing tennis here, right? Let me bat a few back at you.
Come on, then.
Some could say, well, we're just assuming that Nunez and Sainz will leave.
Yeah.
Nunez can't get in the starting 11 against West Brom, and Sainz has scored 2 goals in November. What?
Yeah, but come on, then.
Oh, no, if you want to play this game, I'll play it back.
Okay, well, let me bat it onto myself then, right, as well, and say, I saw someone else on social media say, and I want your opinion on this, right? So Nunez and I think it's Nunez and Borja have got a year left. Is it a year left, or has Nunez got more? But anyway, the point is, would you just not sell them, keep them, keep them for one more season, and then if it doesn't work out next season, you let them go on a free? Because remember, we signed Borja for free anyway, right?
Yeah.
So do you just go, let's just keep him and...
Well, I don't think the Athenases do that. That would be like, having down to your last 20 quid in the casino and it's 9 o'clock and you've got a lot of time left here, all on red. Let's have some fun.
I don't know. It's a
thought.
That
would be risky.
It's a thought.
I don't know. I actually think Sargent is going to be a huge miss. A huge miss.
Well, he's irreplaceable.
At this level, I think he is.
And even if we sell a couple of our best players to try to keep him, you're never going to get a player that's as good as him in the Championship up front. It's not. No. Like, Ante could become as good as Sargent in time.
Yeah, so Science is obviously going to hurt. Sargent's going to hurt. I actually think in terms of impact on the team, I think Nunez will be the biggest loss if he goes. You saw it on Saturday. I mean...
But hang on, he didn't start the game on Saturday.
No, he didn't start the game. But in terms of, proactiveness in the midfield, ideas...
I'm with you.
I think he's really flourished under Johannes.
Oh, mate, I'm with you.
I didn't take it in during the game because I was in such a Sargent, mood. How good was that ball for the goal? I mean, no other midfielder in that team, I think, is capable of that pass.
Just quickly on the bit as the reason that why he didn't start, I'm starting to think that, and I don't. Maybe I am in La La Land here. Maybe that was part of the game plan. maybe the game plan was start a team that are just like will be defensive, compact, not give up as many chances, even though we did. And then you bring on a Núñez, nippy, quick, agile, got an engine on him, got a pass in him, and then that's when we go and we smell blood and we go for the kill. But anyway, back to Núñez. He's bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
He just never stops, and the unsexy side of his game is actually what I love the most. His tackling ability as well, that so many fans don't praise often enough. If you look at his statistics, he's always making tackles. Of course, he's a free kick specialist as well. He did have a free kick that was close-ish.
I don't think he's scored a free kick all season, Chris.
All right, but he is. He's a kick taker. We haven't got another kick taker in our squad, have we?
What do you mean a free kick? He hasn't scored a free kick all season.
I'm just telling you.
I could tell you I'm a free kick specialist. I've scored as many free kicks all season.
All right, fine. I'll take that on board.
Let's get some
Núñez is a good
questions.
footballer. Yes. First X contribution of the week is from Aaron Fletcher.
Hey, Aaron.
Hello, Aaron. He says, abandoning our game plan to stick 5 at the back at home concerns me, especially considering we still gave up plenty of chances and we're lucky Angus was on form. Sacrificed attacking intent to try and stifle them and still gave up big chances. Results or philosophy? ? Tricky one. Your response to that?
Sympathise with a lot of what Aaron says. I mean, we were realistically and honestly, 2 minutes away from Carrow Road booing that performance. Honestly, it was pretty dire. Yes, I think Angus was he the man of the match, or
I think Kellen was the man of the match in the stadium.
But, I don't think anyone would have argued if Angus were. He's made 2 or 3 big saves in that. I think there are certain times in a season. Look, I think the starting point here is Johannes still believes that there's a chance of playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I like that from Johannes. I want there to still be something like it feels like we're playing towards.
So therefore he has to get wins.
Exactly. And he has to find a way. So I think the reason why Wright isn't starting and McConville isn't starting is maybe, he still thinks that results, and of course they're important. Whether we get playoffs or not this season, I don't think we will. It's a tough run from here on in. We're still 5 points back from West Brom. We realistically would have to win every game from now on. But from a mood perspective and a buy-in perspective, I don't think it can be underestimated how important that win was. Because the mood was pretty dire. At 38 minutes in that game, there were a lot of empty seats. I went down to the concourse to get my half-time beer, and it was heaving down there.
Yeah, lots of people left early for half-time, didn't they? Yeah.
So I think because we won, and we won in a brilliant fashion, we forget the previous 90 minutes of how poor we'd kind of been from a mood perspective. So I think it was just important to find the win. I look back to the Portsmouth game earlier on in the season when we were in a similar position and we just had to grind something out.
We're not doing it often, are we? This is
we're
an
not
important
doing
point.
it often, and it doesn't concern me that we went to a back 5 because I think we can easily snap out of that.
Okay.
I don't think this is an Alex Neil Newcastle away performance where he shit the bed and we just have to do something the opposite. I don't see that.
Yeah.
I think Johannes is learning quickly that he doesn't have the utilities to be able to play his football at the moment.
Agreed.
And that's why the summer's massive.
I agree.
And I think when you're up against the West Brom, who are also quite defensive and don't muster up a bit, you need to go switch up. So it doesn't concern me. But what I do take in are the margins in this game. We were very, very close to us sitting here today and going, oh my God, where do we go next?
I know,
And that shows the fickleness of football, and it also shows how a little bit of luck here and there can potentially change a season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm happy that we've still got a head coach that believes, right or wrong, that there's a chance of playoffs this season. Because the worst thing as a football fan is having 8 games left of a season and knowing that there's
nothing to play for.
Like, that's a shit position to be in.
No, it's awful. Yeah, no, I agree.
But this just gives us Norwich are brilliant. Norwich are brilliant at giving you just enough hope to keep you going.
But
keep you going.
Yeah, but thank God. But no, I agree with the sentiment behind your point, Aaron. Definitely.
The body centre.
The body centre.
I've got in touch, and this I don't think is random because, and you may have noticed on our social banners and video intros and social posts, the Body Centre, everyone knows the Body Centre, are back as a sponsor, as a partner of TNT, which is brilliant.
Oh, they're back.
Long-term fans will know the Body Centre were one of our first ever partners back in the day. Now, the reason you'll know about the Body Centre is because basically every single Norwich player in history has taken their G-Wagon and fancy cars to them to get, what do they get done? They get the calipers painted.
All sorts.
Their alloys smoother, smooth.
The exhausts polished.
Yeah, get their matte paint all over their G-Wagons.
Yes.
Their windows blacked out.
Yeah.
And then when you see sort of Angus Gunn driving into the car park, you go, well, that car looks a bit fancy. I reckon the body centre's done that.
The body centre are all over, aren't they?
So we're going to have some fun content coming up with the body centre, so watch out. But they've got in touch with a question.
Come on, what's the question?
Well, actually, it's a statement.
Oh!
They say in capital letters,
okay.
What a display from Angus Gunn. Without him, we'd have lost that game. Just brilliant.
Well, fair. You can't argue with that, can you?
Sure.
This is the thing with the body centre. To the point. They don't mess around, do they? Angus Gunn was Angus Buffon in that game. He was in that game. He was 3 outstanding saves that you cannot argue about. I think there were 6 saves in total. 5 of those saves were made from shots inside the box. And when you have a goalkeeper that's getting things on it from everywhere, it just breeds so much confidence in your defence in front of you as well, right? He was absolutely outrageously good in that game. What do they call it? I'm going to call it catches. What do they call it?
Oh, like claims.
Claims. The claims or catches were there as well. Angus Gunn, City's number 1. We've got Angus in goal. Just so good in that game. And I was so pleased, Jack, as well, because it's not been an easy season for Angus. There's been, obviously, contract talks rumbling on in the background, which couldn't have helped his confidence levels. The defence in front of him have been an absolute shit show for the majority of the season, let's be very, very honest. So I was delighted for Angus, one of our own, cut him down the middle and he bleeds yellow and green, that boy, as well as Scotland. Brilliant. Angus, amazing, well done.
I think that performance just reiterated, 1, how good Angus can be, and I think you sometimes forget that. 2, I think if he'd have been at that level all season and been fit all season, we'd undoubtedly be in the playoffs.
Really?
I think that's
Would you say as strong as that, yeah?
I look at a Burnley with a James Trafford.
Yeah.
And equally...
He's an exception, to be fair,
I know,
he's unbelievable.
He's at a top level. But equally, look what's going on at Leeds at the moment. I mean, they are in front of our very eyes throwing away their title because Farker is...
Because of their goalkeeper.
Because single-handedly because of their goalkeeper.
And Farker's stubborn.
And you see you look at that Leeds defence. I mean, I'm concerned for Meslier because it looks like that defence wants to murder Meslier.
I'm not...
But it shows the difference. Like, if it wasn't for Angus Gunn at the weekend, we lose that game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And there have been games this season where if Angus Gunn had have put in the performance he did at the weekend, we win games rather than drawing or losing.
Yeah.
It's an important position that you have to get right.
Yeah.
Do you think that changes the talks around the contract and such? Because ultimately that is a big position that is up in the air at the moment.
I don't know, is the honest answer, Jack. I don't know. Either way, I think the club will have already decided whether they're going to try to keep Angus at the club or not next season. I do not know the answer to that, genuinely. I don't know the answer to that. I think that performance... will help Angus massively, right? And also will maybe get a bit of respect back on his name actually as well, because I think people forget just how good Angus is when he's really on form as well. I don't know anything about the contract talks except from the fact that actually there haven't really been contract talks.
What would you do?
There was some absolute bullshit going around earlier in the season that Angus had turned down a contract and things like that. He's not had anything in front of him to sign all season. That is a fact as of filming right now. What's the time? 8 o'clock on a Monday.
What would you do?
What would I do? I'd give Angus a new contract.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
You still think he's got it in him long term?
No doubt about it. Because if you have, and people might be going, oh, no. Seriously, right? Just hold on a minute, right? This is my new thing. I'm doing this weird moan thing. Sorry about that. This is the point I'm at the season. If the defence in front of him can play out from the back, if the midfield aren't just so easy to walk through, if our strikers are taking chances, it takes pressure off the goalkeeper, right? And
passing blame a bit there.
And hey, by the way, even if you get Angus to stay, You make him fight for his place in the number 1 jersey. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's a bit of healthy competition. Of course I'm offering Angus a new contract. But look, hey, it's not down to me. It's down to Ben Napper and the people inside the club. But let us know in the comments below whether you'd keep Angus. And hey, whilst I'm here on Angus, if you've listened up to this point of the podcast, we want to see the hashtag of the week, Jack, which is We've Got Angus. Okay? We've criticised Angus at points this season, and now it's time to praise him. We want to see the hashtag on social media. Hashtag We've Got Angus. Okay, get it on social media, and we'll share all of your podcast posts as a thanks for your support.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Gunny. I think, undoubtedly, if he puts in those performances or similar performances, that you offer him a new contract. Obviously, on the flip side, I don't think he's been good enough this season. I think his performances have dipped to a level that I don't deem...
I just think, though, Gray... I think, though, Jack, and I don't know why I called you Gray there, it's because... I'm feeling pretty grey at the moment. That's my point. In a world of black and white... That's a very black and white thing to come out with.
No,
right?
Of course, yeah.
And actually, there's a lot of grey there. There's a lot of context there. And hey, by the way, hold a mirror up to my face, there's a lot of grey with Jakob Sorensen. I'm saying he's not good enough. He's not the standard we need at this football club. Actually, there's context to that. Well, hey, why is that, Chris? Well, he's been injured a lot of his time here. He's played multiple positions here. Has he been playing in sides that have ever been particularly confident because we're missing players and that's why he's starting? So even, I'm holding a mirror up to myself there as well. So I just think there's a lot more context around that discussion, personally.
We've seemingly just got questions in this week from partners of ours, which is great. Not kind of girlfriends, as in partners being sponsors. This one comes in from the brilliant Unthanked Kitchen.
Come
on! And if you haven't been there, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting a bit annoyed with you. If you've not been yet, what are you doing?
And someone came up to me the other day going, "Oh, Chris, can you give me a discount at the Unthanked Kitchen?" I said, maybe we've just not put it on social media enough. Guys, don't forget, if you go to the Unthanked Kitchen, it doesn't matter if it's on a match day or not. Well, does it?
Well, I think if you go in, I think it does a little bit. But if you go in and say you watch TNC, I think they'll give you a sneaky discount.
It's going to help, right? So go in there on Unthanked Road, hence what's called the Unthanked Kitchen, and get yourself the best brekkie in town.
And also, which was lovely actually, because they put it on their social media last week, the Big C guys were down there. And they presented a certificate to Dunny, the owner,
because he's giving £2 from every one of his match day breakfasts
to the Big C.
To the Big C, who help local people affected by cancer. What's their point?
They say, question: if it would have been 0-0, would have ended 0-0, would there have been booze?
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing, isn't it?
100% there would have been booze.
And actually, I don't particularly like booing. The sensation of a good boo is quite therapeutic. Like, boo! That's quite a fun thing to do. I don't boo at the football, but I think that's...
Where do you boo? Do you boo your missis when she doesn't sort of,
maybe if I'm in Tesco's and the scanner isn't scanning quickly enough.
You boo it?
I'll boo right in their face. Boo! If I'm... there's a lot of traffic lights going through Caister-on-Sea at the moment. I might boo the road workers. Boo! If I'm, I don't know, maybe if I'm a soft scoop ice cream place.
Oh my god!
And the whippy isn't quite good enough, and they're just kind of getting the ice cream out. I'll boo the young person serving the ice cream.
Norwich City. If this isn't enough of a reason for you to start playing better and winning more football matches, then I don't know what is. Yeah, there would have been booze. To answer the Unthanked Kitchen, there would have been booze, and it does feel like, Jack, that there is this kind of frustrated fan feeling simmering under the surface, right? Where fans are still not completely sold on the new project. And that is because, in my humble opinion, as we've said in this podcast previously, Johannes does not have the utilities at his disposal to play full flight, key phrase there, full flight Hofball, okay? He can kind of play it in little patches every now and then, 10 minutes here, 50 minutes there. But actually, to get points, he's going to have to be defensive at some stages because they can't play out from the back, where we've had injured players, etc. So there's always this fan feeling of they are currently not content with what they're seeing. And I think fans are well within their rights to be not content with what they're seeing. And I agree with fans being frustrated having watched that West Brom game. We were bored. We were bored. We were bored.
Yeah.
We like for example, one of the talking points from the game was the highlight of the first half was that someone proposed at half time. Oh, and by the way, there were a couple of plonkers that invaded the pitch as well. Which, by the way, I'll make a point on this. Stewards had an absolute shocker. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to.
Well, they could have been a danger.
No. And this is actually serious now. This is actually no laughing matter. Like I'm laughing because we're actually talking about these ridiculous things rather than the football, right? And I'm saying to you, oh bloody hell, the stewards could have done a better job. Why is a single steward not run on the pitch immediately when two people have run straight to our star number one, biggest, most expensive asset?
It's a great point,
right? Not a single steward has run on the pitch afterwards.
No.
But the fact that I'm talking about that during a game is a shambles. So, but what I will always say, it doesn't help to boo. It really doesn't help to boo.
I think, and I think these are the types of games that really can make or break a head coach who's trying to do something different, that's trying to get buy-in. I think buy-in's the word.
Yeah.
Because if you draw or you lose that game, and you hadn't won in 5 before that, things can start to turn. And you've got Sunderland coming up, and Burnley coming up, and informed Portsmouth coming up. Like, it can quickly snowball. Equally, this has the ability to just halt things, reset, put you in a... Football is always real fine margins. David Wagner last season was 90 minutes away from getting to Wembley. That could have ended up very differently. So I think I still have the belief that the overall arching project at Norwich City is going well and is the right thing to do. But you are only ever 5 games away from a potential sacking. Like, realistically.
Fair. Yeah.
So games like that are important.
What about this?
Yes, there would have been boos if it had ended 0-0.
What about this from Anel Hernandez Right Peg on X, at Onel_enjoy? It's his statement. Keeping Núñez will be just as important as keeping Sainz and Sargent. Completely changed the game after coming on. Hey, just a quick point on this, Anel Hernandez Right Peg. Jacob Wright coming on impacted the game as well.
It was good.
But yeah, no, I think Anel Hernandez Right Peg has got a point, Jack. So is Núñez the number one player that we need to keep at this club this summer?
Well, no, I mean that's Josh Sargent, but I'm afraid I think that ship has sailed. I think with Núñez, Sainz, and Sargent, you can put them all in a similar bucket in a sense of like they are brilliant Championship players, but there is a reason why at this moment in their career they are still playing in the Championship. Sargent, injury concerns. Núñez, injury concerns. Sainz, suspension, disciplinary concerns. So, like, if all of those players didn't have those bits, they would undoubtedly be in a top 5 league.
But answer this point though. So you disagree with this? That actually you're saying that no, Sargent.
Sarge is the most important.
Okay, all right.
Then it's Núñez.
Okay.
Then it's Sainz.
And what I'm saying to that is, I think we lose all 3.
What is wrong with you today?
Sorry, I
just won 1-0. The sun's shining. 90 seconds and you're still moving.
Give me some... Okay. Well, if the club can give me some confidence...
Okay, I'll give you some...
Yeah.
Let me give you some confidence.
After this summer, when the Atanasios keep our best assets, I'll say, hey, here we go. Let's get confident. Yeah. But at the minute, I'm not faithful that we're going to keep our best assets because of historically what we have done and what we probably have to do as a club to live in this soulless modern football world that we're in.
Let me give you some confidence.
Come on then.
Right?
So you're saying
we've got money now, right? You saw in the summer, Rowe, Ida, Sarah got top dollar. I think we could have got more for Sarah, but with Ida and Rowe, top dollar.
All right.
So let's say, I don't know, Napoli come knocking for Núñez, right? Hello, it's Napoli. We want to give you 20 million quid for Marcelino Núñez. Yeah. Mark Atanasio just laughs them out of the door.
I don't think
he does. I don't want your Italian money.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
He does. He's got as much. He doesn't. He's got millions, billions in the bag. He doesn't care.
Billions and billions.
And actually, if you're a top club, right? You're in the Champions League. Mate, you're looking at Núñez's hamstrings and you're going, oof.
I think you might be in La La Land.
Yeah, I probably am.
I think the money talks
to get you a bit excited about things.
I think the money talks. I think ultimately a big part of this comes down to the players, right? So let me ping pong it back to you.
Let me
batted back. Ping pong it back to you, okay?
I don't want it batted back.
We know for a fact that Sargent
Yes.
is a better player than Championship level, right?
Yes.
He should be playing in the Premier League at least, or in a higher foreign league. That's a fact. He shouldn't. He can't. Surely he can't stay in the Championship again for another season. Surely.
No.
I know the injury is playing into our favour, but still, right? So that's Sargent. Okay, we know that. Come on, Borja signs.
Yeah.
He is still the Championship's top goal scorer. He will attract interest.
Yes.
We will receive offers for the Championship's top goal scorer. He will be in the play. He will be in the team of the season. He's in for a shout of winning the Player of the Season in the Championship, by the way, because he's the Championship's top goal scorer. He will attract offers. Okay, it's going to be very hard to keep him. And Núñez, I mean, look at the quality of player he is. I think Núñez we might be able to keep for another season, but ultimately, if those players aren't told, look, we're going to build this squad, we're going to build it around you, or even if say Núñez gets told, Borja and Sargent are off, or Sargent, Borja and Núñez are off, he's not going to stay about, is he? So look, I'm all for positivity. I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. I want to, and I am still so behind this project, but I'm also protecting myself. Because I'm going to this summer, rather than being like, oh yeah, we're going to keep all of our players and we're going to build on this. We don't know. We haven't yet seen what the Atenasios in their first, as majority stakeholders of the football club, are going to do. Yeah. I want to be wrong. I want all of our best players to stay. I just don't think they will.
No, I think you're right. And I think ultimately there's huge importance on Napa and Johannes and the Atenasios to all good founders and business leaders and, To get a journey going, you need to be able to sell a dream and sell a journey, and that's going to be important to try and to keep hold of Núñez and potentially a Josh Sargent. Who knows? To go, we will build this team around you. We will invest significant money. If it's not working in 12 months, you can go. Go and enjoy your World Cup, Josh. Yeah, but until then, give us a chance. I probably am in La La Land. Who knows?
Come on.
This is a good one from Chris. He says, question, would you accept the West Brom performance every week for 3 points or play attractive football and take a risk?
Who's Chris?
That's Chris, yeah.
Well, Chris, I think we're in, boom or bust territory, right? Where the only thing that matters now is results. And I've seen some fans come out with things like, it doesn't matter, we don't even want to get in the playoffs, we're not good enough for the Premier League, But if you're not trying to get there, what's the bloody point? And I think what you said earlier, Jack's really important. And we spoke about fan feeling and the fact that we were on the edge of, I say we, I wasn't personally, but some people would have booed at full time. Boo! They would have booed at full time. So it's so important, Chris, that we get wins from now to the end of the season. And ultimately, if we play like that, and it's pretty boring to watch, but we grind out enough wins to be in and around the edge of the playoffs, that will be enough to keep people buying into the mission, the vision. It will be enough to maybe say to these key players, hey, we are knocking on the door and we're going to invest, right? But if you're nowhere near that, you're out the window, right? So I think this is why I kind of almost agree with the fact that, if we have to play boring, dirty, even negative football, just to pick up enough wins from now to the season, I think I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and I think that's it's the truth sits somewhere in the middle. It's a very black or white to go, would you accept that performance every week?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. To Plymouth and do that? Probably not.
Well,
equally,
I don't know.
What game did I enjoy more? Did I enjoy Sheffield Wednesday at home, where actually for 45 minutes we were excellent?
It was so
Or
good.
did I enjoy West Brom more, where we were pretty rubbish for 90 minutes but won? I obviously enjoyed West Brom more. It's not going to be like that every week. And I agree. I think we're at a point where we need to just see out the season in the best possible way, see what happens, because you need the mentality and the mood around the place to be positive for next season.
Yes.
That's the important thing here.
Linked to that point, Norwich Pure have got in touch saying, interested to get your guys' thoughts on this. Results from a poll were 56% towards option 1. Would you rather try for the playoffs by keeping experience and potentially playing less attractive football as seen today, or accept that we are likely to finish mid-table and still try to bed in youngsters to transition into next season? Is it as black and white as that?
No, it's not.
Can't we do both?
I think you can actually. I think you can. I mean, we've seen Wright and McConville come on. I'd like to see more of those two. I want to see more of Mate Jurisic. I want to see more of Oscar Schwartau.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I saw, and I think it was a discussion point rather than an opinion. Yeah. But people saying, well, if we know that Sainz and Sarge and Nunez are off in the summer, why are we starting them? If you're having that discussion, and obviously you're not going to do that. So I think you can do both. I tell you, I am excited. I'm excited for a few things. I'm excited to see more Ante Cianats in terms of in a position that I think is more suited for him, because I think there's a real player in there.
By the way, I'm surprised he was subbed off.
Paddy Davitt was saying it was a dead leg. It was
really?
It was an injury
because he looked bright.
Yeah, I think it was an injury thing.
Okay.
So I want to see more of him. I want to see more of Schwartau.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's the real deal.
Me too.
I want to see more of McConville. I think he's a future Norwich City captain. And I want to see more of Jacob Wright.
Hang on, what?
Yeah, I do.
Hang on, just repeat that.
Ryan McConville, future Norwich City captain.
Okay.
It's not even an opinion, it's a fact.
Well, I love that from you.
Ollie says, we couldn't, could we?
Well, and linked to this, Manfred Wells says, statement, only 5 points. So I think, Jack, if we win the next 2 and results go our way, we're in 6th position.
Yeah, but mate, the fixtures look tough now.
Hang on, no. All right,
so
okay. Let me.
Derby.
I know. I'm with you.
How have we not?
Mate, I'm so with you. Mate, I'm so with you. But let me toy with you. I'm so with you. I'm sitting on your side of the fence. I promise you. I am not expecting us to get in the playoffs. I don't think we'll get in the playoffs. But okay, let me ping pong this back to you. Okay, Plymouth away next, right? And I know we lost 6-2 there before, but they are a shit show, okay? So let me ping that to you, okay? Then the next one, right? We'll have a bit of this. You've seen what we've played like against West Brom, who are in the top 6, all right?
Yeah.
Who are coming to Carrow Road and choosing out underdogs? Sunderland, right? Just play against what we did against West Brom. Do that against Sunderland. What will we get a win there?
And it's Burnley away.
Oh, Burnley is a guaranteed loss. Burnley, we're not touching.
I think
Burnley could get embarrassing.
I think what realistically happens is we draw to Plymouth and Sunderland and we get beat by Burnley. I think we beat Portsmouth, draw against Millwall, lose to Borough, win at Cardiff, probably finish 10th. I think that's the realistic thing, and actually I think that's about where we are this season.
Oh yeah, no,
I think we're bang in the middle.
I don't disagree. But it just is a fact that we are only 5 points off again.
I think let's end it there. I think that's a nice point to end it on.
Thank you for watching the Talk Norwich City podcast. Buy Lakens and get your car in at the body centre for some body works.
Don't buy the Lakens and then drive your car.
No, don't do that.
Do it the other way around.
Yeah, do it the other way around. We need to really stress that point. Yeah. Donate to Big C. Get your computer sorted at 101 Computers.
I think the overarching message here, Chris.
Yep.
I'm pleased that we've got that winning feeling back.
Me too. Relieved.
It was starting to become quite a chore to get yourself up for a Norwich game.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Bristol City. There's a right hook of Sheffield Wednesday. Bang, straight in the nose. Oxford at home.
So a win.
Uppercut, Preston. I was just taking hits. I was on the ropes.
Yeah.
And Sargent's revived me. And I'm back in the room.
And then you've headbutted. Yeah,
I'm back in the room.
West Brom was a good win. You win by hook or by crook. We got the job done. Fair play to Johannes and the players. And big up to Angus Gunn. What a performance. # we've got Angus. Get it on social media. See you next week.
Bye. Yep, see you very soon, everyone. Bye-bye.